Hey folks, welcome back. This is Joel, and in this series of videos, we'll explore firepower a little more, right? So, there's a bit of content on firepower, on my channel already, but that was probably created. I think majority of it was created long back, probably a couple of years back, or at least a year back. I recently put out a video on firepower, which is how do you install firepower on EVE and so on. So think of this as a continuation of that, right? Where we will explore some of the interesting features of firepower, and in this particular topology. Now right now this topology is probably not very complete, right? I'll be building on this as and when we explore more cool features. So let's start with something very simple, right? This video will be mainly concentrated on getting the initial device configuration up, right? Initial device setup, I would say. So we'll basically get this particular FTD branch over here, and then we'll also get the two FTDs over here, which I've kind of configured or I intend to configure in kind of HA, high availability scenario, right? So, and then we also have the FMC, right? So let's start with the first activity, which is getting this FTD up. So what I'm going to do is, I've not done anything as of now, right? So it's completely blank. This is my jump host, right? I have a jump host, or basically a management PC from where I'll be connecting to all the devices. I think the topology is pretty straightforward, right? So I have the internet here. The green thing is the internet, right? This is the ISP router. This is one branch, right? So I have a branch here, and then think of this yellow network as my campus network, right? So all the campus network, or the enterprise campus network, right, it is using the FTD as an internet edge, right, before going to the internet. And then there's a small branch here, and then there is also like a small remote VPN PC as well, so that someone from the internet should be able to do VPN into maybe the FTD branch, or maybe into the FTDs of the campus, right? So first things first, remember we have talked about this before. FTD can be managed multiple ways. A couple of them are using the FMC, which is here, and the other one is using the on-box management, which is called FDM, right? Firepower Device Manager, I guess, right? So we'll be using FDM for the FTD branch because it's just one single FTD, right? I really don't have to spin up a FMC for this. I can use the on-box management console, whereas for these two FTDs we'll be using the FMC, right? So let me go and start this guy, right? So let's wait for that to get booted up, right? So the first time you'll basically end up getting something like this, right? So you will have your VNC, right? You need to connect to this via the VNC. So let's see. So right now, if you see here, if you hover your mouse on this particular FTD, on the bottom left corner, you will basically see the VNC port. So I've just used the VNC connector to kind of go and connect this guy. So let me just get rid of that. Yeah. So this is going to happen. This will probably take a few minutes. So what I'm going to do right now is, while this is happening, I'm going to pause the video, and we'll come back once this is done, and we can proceed with the actual initial configuration. All right, cool. All right, so looks like it's come back, which means we are thrown on the login screen over here. We'll try to increase the size a bit if you're not able to see, but that's good. So we will go with the default login, which is going to be admin, and the password is also going to be capital A DMIN 123, right? So it's capital A. Okay, sorry, maybe I did not put enough. Let's put that 123. There you go. So we have logged in. Now it's asking for us to accept the EULA, right? So we'll have to press enter, right, to the point, to the bottom, right? We'll have to go to the bottom, and we'll have to accept this. So let's do that. Quite a lengthy one, this one. So let's go a little more, I guess. Okay, it's showing countries. Yeah, so now I can type in yes, right? So that's how you accept the EULA. Oh, my bad. So I pressed a little more of yes, I believe. So I'll have to redo that. So let me redo that. Give me a second. All right, I think that's good. So it's given me the screen where I have to where I have to type in the new password, right? So I'm gonna go with something simple, which I'll remember. All right, so I've put in the new password. So that's the first thing it's going to ask, right? The next thing, so it's going to ask, do you want IPv4 or IPv6? So I'm going to go with IPv4. So it's going to say yes. So I'm going to press that, and then IPv6, right? I don't want IPv6, so that's good. Then it's going to ask, do you want to configure IPv4 manually? I'm going to say yes. So I'm going to type manual over there. It's asking for the IP address itself. So I'm going to go with my IP address, which is, I forgot what is the one we are using here. Let's go back and check. So this is the one, right? So we have 192.168.111.30. That's what we are using. So 192.168.111.30. And the mask, are we good with this? Probably, yeah. So let's go with /24. The gateway is gonna be 192.168.111.254. Okay, so that'll be the default gateway, and it's asking for a fully qualified name. So I'm gonna go with something like FTD branch, maybe dot lab local, right? So we can use this for in our DNS resolution later, right? Right now it is not. I haven't turned on my DNS, but maybe we can do this later, right? So that's fine. Then comma separated list for DNS servers. Let's keep it default, I guess. Enter a comma separated search domains. I'm gonna keep whatever is empty, not needed. So now what it is going to do is, as you see there, because we have changed the networking configuration, it's going to kind of like refresh it, right? So it will disconnect and reconnect kind of a situation. So let's wait for a few seconds for that to happen. All right, so we are back. Now it's asking me, do you want to manage this device locally? Now this is very important, right? Because like I said, we are going to be using FDM to manage this particular device. I'm going to say yes for this one, right? So, and then I think I also pressed another enter. So it has taken the default mode, which is configuring the firewall mode, to route it. So because in a firewall we can have two modes, right? Router and transparent. So for L3 and L2 functionality, right now we are using the routed mode. Okay. All right. So we are good with that, which means technically we should be able to go and reach this particular device from our management PC, which is here. So let's do that. Let's do HTTPS, right? 192.168.111.30. What's that? Let's wait. If everything is good here, it's telling successfully performed first boot initial configuration, and all of that is good. So I think we are actually pretty much done from the CLI, right? Don't have to do anything much. We just need to wait for the web UI to come up, and then we should be good. All right, so it's gonna give you this. I think it's better to get this guy on. Let's get him on Firefox, right? Firefox is way better than Chrome. So let me just connect to it. Give me a second. All right, that's good. So it's going to obviously give you that self-signed certificate error, but that's fine. You can go to advanced, add the exception, confirm, and I think it should now connect us to our FTD, which we want to locally manage. There you go, right? Maybe I can even bookmark this. Right, so I'm gonna say FTD branch, sorry, FDM for branch. Right, there you go. That's good. Cool. Now let's go with the default username, which is admin, and my password, which I just now changed, I believe it should take that. So there you go, it's trying to log me in. This is, if you guys have not seen the UI before, this is how it looks, right? Pretty straightforward. And I would suggest, if you have just one single FTD and you and you are trying to manage it, FDM is a decent approach for doing it, right? You really don't want to have a FMC, just for one FTD. So if you're like a small office, right, Soho kind of a situation, right, small office, home office kind of a situation where you have probably one FTD, then better to go with this particular approach, right? All right. So what do we do next? So it's asking me for device setup here. So I'm gonna just click skip for now because we would want to do it separately, right? So what I'm gonna do is, so it's also asking me, do you wanna if you skip the, you'll configure, you cannot restart the device. Want to continue and skip this, please. Okay, so we have to enable the 90-day evaluation period, the license, right? So I'm gonna say confirm. Right, so let's wait for that to go in. All right, so looks like that is done, right? The device initialization is done. You can see your basic stuff appearing here, right? You've got the ports being shown here and all of that. The first thing we want to do is we want to probably go and configure our interfaces, right? Let's quickly have a look at our topology here. We've got the gigabit 0/0 kind of on the outside, right? And the gigabit 0/1 kind of on the inside, right? So let's see, what do we do about that? So we will go down to the interface. So you know, to configure interface, you can click on this over here, and there you go. It will start showing you the interfaces, 0/0, 0/1, right? These are our interfaces which you want to configure. So what we'll do now is we'll have to hover, right? You see this pencil mark, so let's click on that guy, and yeah, so it will take a bit of time. There you go. So we've got the outside interface already defined, the name is there, like it has already picked up. I have not configured this anywhere before, but it has already picked up that particular name for that interface, which is fine. We are happy with that. What we'll do is we will say don't go for DHCP, rather let's go for static, right? And let's put the IP address, which is going to be 192.51, right, dot I believe 100.1. so that's going to be our address, and obviously the mask we can go with 24, I believe. Let's double check. Yes, that is 24, so that's good, right? And we're going to say okay, right? So that's about configuring the outside interface, I believe. Let's see, what else do we do? We'll have to do a bit of routing. Let's do a bit of routing, probably put in a static route. Let's wait for this, right? So there you go. So we've put in the gigabit 0/0, the 0/1 for now. Let's park it. We are not going to do it in this video, probably. Let's do it later. That being said, let's go back to device summary, right? That's how you go back to your default home screen. That's your device summary. And what do we want to do? We want to do routing. So let's go there. Currently, you see there are no routes. So we'll say we'll add a route here, right? You can either click here or you can say static route, anywhere you can do it. I'm going to say over here, and the name. Okay, so what do we give? Do we really need a name? That's interesting. I had not seen that before. Maybe that's a new thing. Anyway, so we'll give it a name probably. Let's call it static towards ISP, right? So we'll say static towards ISP, the ISP router. It's going to be an IPv4, so that's good. And the interface is clearly going to be an outside interface. So that's gigabit 0/0, right? IPv4, and we'll have to put in kind of like a network over here, right? So did I select the right thing? Maybe let me try to do this again, because this is completely different, looks different. So let's try this button. That's interesting. Looks like they've kind of changed the view a bit. Anyway, so yeah, let's do this. So the name is going to be static, and it's going to be ISP. probably the interface is not mandatory, right? So anyway, so we'll see the gateway over here, right? So in the gateway, we should be able to select the network. So right now we don't have a network object, so we're going to click on that, right? So here we can create a network object, and I'm going to create a network object for the ISP router, which is an host. And what is the address? 190, is it 192 or 198? I forgot. So it is 198. Okay, maybe I made a mistake with the other one, then I have to fix that. Anyway, so it's going to be 198.51.100, it's 102. All right, so that's your host. I'm going to put an OK over here, right? So that's the gateway, right, which we'll select obviously over here. And so metric, let's keep it as is. Networks. So the gateway is done, so we'll have to select the networks. So the network will be any IPv4, right? So we're basically saying for anything, basically go down to, you know, ISP router. Sweet. The SLA and all we can skip. Let's so you have to select the interface. That's interesting, wasn't that before. Anyway, so we'll select the outside interface over here, and I think that should be good, right? Let me quickly also go and fix the IP address over here, so that's important. So what we'll do is, let's go back to the device summary. I think let's go to the interfaces, and over here, see, I need to change this. So let's click on this edit button. I need to change that 192 to 198. I made a mistake over there. All right, so that's good. So we're gonna save that. So I think we are good with both the things. We have done the interfaces, we have done the routing, right? Time to deploy. So let's go and deploy. So that's how you deploy, right? Similar to how you deploy it on FMC, you can deploy it over here as well. So it's going to tell you what we are going to be doing. You can see pretty cool stuff, right? So that's good. Okay, so that's good. So what we'll do is we'll click on deploy here. So the job was added to the queue, and we will say okay, I believe, right? So now it's going to be just to be deployed. So you can see it's going to be deployed soon. So it takes a few minutes to complete. Let's go to the deployment history to see what is deployed. Right now nothing, it's not completed, but yeah, so we'll have to wait, I believe. Let's see. So it's in progress. Meanwhile, let me quickly pause the video and check if my so I also have the two FTDs and FMCs turned on. So let's see what's the progress with those. So I'm gonna pause the video and check that. Give me a second. All right, so this is how it looks once the configuration has been pushed, right, and deployed. So I can click on OK here, and now we can probably go back to the device, and you can see here, if I run something like show interface IP brief, if I'm not wrong. Okay, IP brief. So there you go, right? Whatever we configured just now, the IP addresses, right, the outside interface, and bunch of things which we did, you can see here being reflected, right? So, and now you can use basically this FDM to manage this particular. You can do monitoring, you can do policies, and everything what you would do on FMC, something very similar to that you could do here as well, right? And you can see all the cool stuff, all the metrics and all visible here, right? So this is how you use FDM. So FDM is basically bundled on box. It's like on box management center, and you can use this if you're kind of like managing one single FTD, right? Now I'm gonna pause the video and wait for my rest of the FTDs and FMCs to come up, right? And so that we can kind of do the initial setup on those two guys as well and onboard them to the FMC, right? So I'll be back in a minute. All right, so my FMC is not up yet, but my two FTDs are up. So I think we can start with the configuration of these guys and then wait for the FMC to come up. So let's start with the admin 1, 2, 3, right? Let's do the same thing on the other guy as well, so that we don't waste time. Right, so the next is it's gonna ask for the EULA, right? I have to accept the EULA. So here we go. This guy has given it. So let's go. Let's just press on the enter key over here until it goes to the complete bottom. the right hand side is my FTD HA2, right, the second FTD, whereas on the left hand side is my HA1. So technically you'll have to read through this, but since it's my since I'm doing it on a lab and I really know what it is, so we are good. It's gonna ask me for a new password now. There you go. So I'm gonna use my sweet. So that's good. Meanwhile, I can go and accept the EULA for this guy as well. Also, I'm running kind of like the latest version, as you see there. I'm running 6.6.1, right? Just to give you a glimpse that I think they have also released 6.7, but this is like the recommended release. So if you're going for production, probably better to use this particular release. All right, so let's start with the configuration maybe, or maybe let's do it. Enter the new password. And again, all right, so let's start with the left one. So it's asking me to configure IPv4 yes, IPv6 no, perfect. And what will be the so we'll have to put in DHCP. Okay, so we'll go with manual obviously. And what will be the IP address here? It's 192.168.111 and .10, I believe. So this is going to be the .10 and the other one is going to be .11, right? So the mask is fine. The default gateway is 192.168.111.254, the one which we used earlier. It's basically my router. Qualified name. Okay, so let's use something like FTD-HA1 .lab.local, right? That looks good. And let's keep the rest of the stuff default. Okay, and let's go on the right hand side now. Do you want to configure IPv4 yes, IPv6 no, manual, right? It's asking for the management IP 192.168.111. We'll go with .11 here, and mask is fine. Management, okay, gateway is 192.168.111.254. Qualified name, we'll go with FTD-HA2, right? .lab.local, right? So that looks good, I guess. Yeah. FTD-HA2.lab, yeah, that's good. And keep this default, keep this default. Yeah. So while that happens, let's quickly go and do this one. So here we'll not be managing the device locally, rather we'll be using FMC. So I'm going to say manage device locally no, right? So that's good. Next, it should ask me for the firewall mode. Do I want to run it in which one? Routed mode or transparent mode, right? So okay, so let's do the same thing here. Do you want to manage device locally? It's going to be a no. Okay, so let's wait for the next instruction to appear. Again, if you're probably running it on a very powerful machine, powerful server, probably it's going to be even more faster. So yeah, make sure that you have enough resources because these are all heavy nodes, right? I think it needs close to 8 GB of RAM for each of these devices. So yeah, make sure you got enough amount of RAM and enough amount of device memory. All right, so it's asking for the routed modes. I'm going to say yes, I want to go with the routed mode here. So now it will do a bit of configuration, probably takes a bit of time. Meanwhile, let's see on the right hand side, are we good? Probably we'll have to wait a little more, I guess. All right, let's do the right side one as well. Routed mode, good. So now let's wait for my FMC to come up because once or maybe we can actually do the once this process is completed, we can actually go about adding my FMC, adding my FTD, right, to the FMC from this side, right. We'll have to do the same thing on the FMC side as well, but from the FTD side we can like finish up that config as well. So let's wait for this process to finish. All right, so looks like the guys have come up. So let's first go and configure this. So we're gonna say configure manager, right. Manager is nothing but my FMC, so that's a command, configure manager, address, and the address is 192.168.111. I think we'll go with 20, right. So that will be the IP address of my FMC, which I haven't configured yet, but I will have to do it. So I'm going to say Cisco 123, right. Looks good, I think. Yeah, I'm happy. So I'm going to go with that, and this other side as well. So I'm going to say configure manager, right. Let's add, and it's going to be the same thing, 192.168.111, right, .20, and Cisco 123. Figure address and yep, there you go. So that's done. So that's good. It's like my FMC is up. So the first thing you gotta do is you log into FMC either using the same admin and the password. You get into the expert console, and here you can hit the initial script, which is to configure your network. So we'll say configure network, I guess. Yeah. And it's asking me for a password. So we trust you and all of that. Okay, so let's go with the right. So let's put in the password. Okay, so it's asking for IPv4. Yes. Management IP is 192.168.111.20. Management mask is going to be correct. Default gateway 192.168.111.254. Are the settings correct? Yes. Do you want to configure IPv6? No. So let's wait for that to complete, right? So it's going to update the configuration. All right, so looks like it has come up, and we are good to go to our browser here. And let's say HTTPS. Okay, so that's going to be your 192, but this time let's change this to 20, right? So there you go. You're gonna say advanced, you're gonna accept the exception, confirm. Okay, so let's log in with the default password. I believe it will ask me to change the password now, because unlike FTD, for FMC you have to log in and then change the password. So yeah, we should probably get something here. That's a fine view. Yeah, there you go. So the new password gotta have 8 characters, at least one lower, one upper, 1 digit, 1 special character, no more than 2 passwords managed. Okay, got it. So I don't know, let's go with something like this. Maybe let me fix that. Let me change a bit. I'm gonna forget the password, so right, so that's good. So let's change this guy. Sweet. So looks good. Let's say next. Probably gonna show me the EULA over here, so that's good. So I'm gonna say accept, and these are all the settings which we did. The fully qualified name, I can go with fmc.lab.local, right? The rest of the stuff looks good. NTP. So I do want to change NTP, probably maybe at a later stage. For now, okay, it's not even reachable, so let me try to fix that. Give me a second. Let's see, actually let's go ahead. If we get into trouble, maybe we can change, maybe we can create an NTP server in our topology and use it, right? For now I'm happy with this, so I'm going to say finish up here so that we get the fine FMC GUI so that we can add our two devices, right? So let's do that. All right, so it's going to drop you here, and let's go and excuse me, let's go and enable our evaluation license here. Also, you see the view here, right? This is kind of like the light theme, I guess. Not a big fan of it personally. I really like my FMC, the classic theme, right? So I'm probably going to switch to that. But if you are interested with this one, then you can probably check that out. I'm going to switch back to the classic theme because that's what I have used over the years and something which I'm very comfortable with. Right, so there you go. Let's go and do some fun stuff, which is go down to devices, because that's where we'll have to add our devices now. So there you go, we are in the devices page, and here let's add our devices, the two FTDs. So let's say add device, and the host, what's the host? It's 192.168.111.10. right? The display name is, I don't know, maybe something FTD.HA1, I guess. Okay, my bad. Sorry, that should go here, my bad. Okay, so that's good. And the registration key, remember we use Cisco 123. The group is none, right? There is no policy as of now. So let's create a new policy, right? Let's call this something like FTD initial policy. Obviously we'll change this later, but for now you need to have something at least. So I'm not gonna block all traffic. I'm gonna go to probably something like intrusion prevention, right? I'm gonna save that. That's a default action. It's not blocking, so that we can test some pings and stuff later, maybe in the next set of videos. That's why I'm not blocking all the traffic. So that's good, and let's enable all the stuff here. 1 2 3. Let's keep that, and let's go. So now what it's going to do is it's going to try to register the device. Remember we have the two devices here, which is FTD 1 and 2, right? So there you go, this is 1 and this is 2, and we have kind of put the manager command here, so which means we are good to register this one here, right? So in a few seconds that should work. So I'm going to pause the video and come back once it is done. You can see on the right hand side the registration has started. It will take a minute or so for the registration to complete. Alright, so the dialog box is gone, but it's still registering. You see here it's still happening, right? Which means, but then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my other device as well, so that in the background this also completes, right? So let's see, what's the give me a second. Yeah, for a HA2, let's go with the host, which is 192.168.111.20, I believe, or sorry, 111.11. And the display name is gonna be obviously FTD -HA and 2, where the registration key is gonna be Cisco 123, right? And let's go and enable these guys, and we are good. So let's click on register. So I'll come back, let's pause the video and come back when both the guys are registered. Alright guys, there you go. Looks like it is completed. You can see both the FTDs are showing in green color, right? Which means both the devices were discovered, and they were added to the FMC, right? So in this particular video, we'll pause here, or we'll stop here, because I don't want to overburden with a lot of content. We'll come back with more videos on this series. But what we did, just to summarize, was that we checked out how to locally use the FDM, right? Which was the first one which we tried here, right? That was this one, the Firefox device, the Firepower device manager, to manage the device locally, right? And the second approach which we used for the campus FTDs was by trying to see or trying to add the devices to FMC and manage the devices via FMC, right? So here you go, that's what we have done. Just wanted to keep it very simple in the first video, but keep watching or keep checking out this space or this particular channel, and we'll obviously be doing much more cooler stuff with the topology in the coming days, right? Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.